Hey, beautiful souls. This is Jessica Noel here. Thank you so much for tuning in to my first podcast that I've created, and it is called Uncovering Your Authentic Soulful Self. So, today, the first episode, we're going to talk about your foundation. This is the first piece that you really have to get under your belt, reconceptualizing, creating your relationship with the divine. We spoke about this yesterday in my spiritual evolution group, and a lot came up about the word God. There are so many meanings that we attach to this word. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what we spoke about yesterday. It was very, very profound for many of us as we started to uncover the understanding that so many of us have allowed other people, be it our caregivers, society, religions, to define and often taint the word God for us. So, what kind of barriers and limitations does that create? A lot. So, as we start to explore this, I want you to think about your comfort level with that word. I often tell people, my clients and other people I talk with, to use whatever word makes sense to you. There are so many words that you can use to describe that power in the universe, source. We can use God, we can use divine mother. There are many other words in other languages that mean the same. You can use creator. But I really want you to look at, what does the word God mean to you? Is it tainted for you? Does it hold an emotional charge? Are there stories that have been placed upon that word that could be disconnecting you from that which is so important for your spiritual evolution journey? We have to have a personal relationship with the divine. That's our foundation. That's what will move us forward in so many ways. That's going to be what gives us direct experiences, powerful, profound, healing, even miraculous experiences. So that's where we have to start. So throughout this podcast, I'm going to use the word God over and over and over again in an effort to give you some exposure therapy to neutralize that word for you. So just notice if it carries a charge. Notice what stories you place on it. Who has potentially given that meanings? And I want to say that often this happens in a subconscious way, right? We don't really notice consciously what's happening. And a lot of times this happens in childhood as well. It's like the religious beliefs, the other ideas, emotions can get attached to that and ingrained in us when we don't even really realize it. But what that does is it cuts us off, because now we have a feeling towards that divine energy, towards God, that works to sever or at least block or limit our connection with that. So I want to ask you something, and I want to ask you, are you going to let somebody else do that to you? Are you going to let somebody else taint something that is actually a part of you? We all are connected. We are all one with that energy. And so what that can have an effect on is just cutting us off from that. And that's part of who we are. So you're cutting yourself off from a part of yourself, essentially. And like I said earlier, from these beautiful experiences, the potentials of that. So at this point, as you start to reflect on that, and you might start to have some realizations, I want you to call on the inner warrior that we all have and fight that, change that. How do you do that? How do you reconceptualize what the word God means to you? There's a lot of different ways that you can place a new meaning on it. One way is you could just write something out. What does it mean to you? What do you want it to mean to you? Do you want it to mean your partner, someone who walks with you every day? Do you want it to mean your best friend? Do you want it to mean unconditional love? There are so many different meanings that you can choose to place on it. A lot of times we talk about, in the groups and classes and individual sessions I do, we talk about getting out of default mode and going into manual mode. And this is no different. This is one very foundational piece to get yourself out of the default mode and put yourself in manual mode. You are deciding, you are creating this new relationship. You are reconceptualizing what this means to you. And you can place any meaning on it that you want. I encourage you to begin to use prayer to connect with this source, with God, with this divine love light. In order to use prayer to do that, you're going to have to define what this relationship, this personal relationship, is going to be like for you. And it might feel uncomfortable at first if you've never really done prayer, if you've never really connected in this way. And so just embark on the first step. Maybe write down what do you want this word to mean to you? Now you're choosing. It's no longer subconscious. It's no longer someone else tainting this for you. You're deciding it. You might want to write it on a piece of paper and read it every single day. And this is going to help you to program that in. This is your new wiring that you're choosing, that you're placing upon it. If it takes you a little while, if you have a trauma associated with this, go ahead and use a different word as you reprogram this, but don't let it sit there tainted. I don't want you to let it just sit there, never touching on to that word or leaving it, in a place that feels very negative to you, because it will have impacts. So as you start to define what that looks like, I want to talk to you about prayer and meditation. It's very important that you begin to develop this relationship. And we do that through prayer. We do that through asking. We do that through talking. And then we do that through meditation, which is listening. So as you start to pray, my take on prayer, as is my take on manifesting, creating things that you're wanting to, or manifesting things that you're wanting to create in your life. There are 3 ways that we can do this, that we do this. One is through verbal talking, one is through writing, and one is through thoughts. The power of each of these, in my mind, is in tiers. So the first one is thoughts. Thoughts are important. They have an energy, they have an impact, but the written word is even more powerful. The written word brings something that's intangible, that's in a different dimension or in the mind, in the mental body, and it brings it into a concrete reality, into the physical. So as you write something, it's holding a lot more, carrying a lot more weight, it's holding a lot more energy. And then as we speak, not only is there a bringing it from the mental body, from intangible to tangible to this physical reality, but it also is carrying a sound vibration, and the sound vibration is very powerful. So as that relates to prayer, sure, praying silently, which is the same as praying through your thoughts, that's important. That's going to be something that's going to make a lot more sense when you're out in public. Because what I like you to start to do is think about, how can you be in conscious contact? How can you talk to God throughout the whole day? How can you make God your best friend? How can you make God part of you? But when you're at home, when you're doing your prayer, perhaps you are able to do that every single morning, or maybe your time of prayer is in the evening. You choose the time of day, but make it consistent. Be disciplined about this. Set the time aside. No doubt this is the most important thing in your life, because from this, everything else can develop. From this, your life will change. That's one thing I can promise you. If you begin to pray daily, if you begin to do some sort of meditation daily, even if just a couple minutes, your life will change in beautiful ways. I cannot stress the importance of this enough. So when you're at home, be it morning, evening, afternoon, perhaps all of the above, I want you to pray out loud. Speak everything that comes to mind. And when you notice something that you'd like to have relief from. Perhaps you notice a wound that you have, a limiting belief, something that's causing you suffering. Say it out loud. Say it to God. God, I have this in me. I have this wound in me. I'm seeing it. Maybe it's that you have a hard time letting go of something. Maybe your mind won't leave you alone. It keeps thinking and thinking and thinking. And maybe something has just happened in your life and you're in a great deal of pain. Your heart is hurting. It's broken. Say it all. Ask for support. Ask for love. One thing that I've been doing a lot of lately that is very powerful, it's very simple. The most powerful things in life actually are very simple in the spiritual life. It's a prayer of, God, please fill my body with your pure love light. Please fill my energy field with your pure love light. Please fill this room with your pure love light. And there's affirmations as well. If you have heartbreak, if you have some sort of emotional pain, some sort of barriers, if you have a physical illness, simple affirmation, very powerful. I release all blocks, barriers, and resistance to my full and complete healing. Or I release all blocks, barriers, and resistance to feeling your love, to feeling your connection. So insert anything you want to in that blank. I release all blocks, barriers, and resistance to, and then state what it is. So praying out loud, very powerful. Naming the things that you notice about yourself, naming the things that you like to have support with, guidance about, relief about. The most important thing, the most powerful thing in this journey, and what will get you the farthest, the fastest, so in other words, the shortcut here, is love and devotion. It truly is. If you have love in your heart for God, if you develop this relationship, as you develop this relationship, you will get there with love in your heart. You have to start with the first step. If you have love in your heart for God, if you have devotion, meaning you're consistently praying, you're consistently meditating, and sincerity, which is a part of devotion, that can lead to instant enlightenment. That can lead to profound and deep spiritual experiences. That's your key right there. So if you're looking for a fast and easy way to have these profound experiences, if you're looking for a shortcut, the airplane route perhaps, that's what it is. And that's a prayer that you can do as well. You can ask God, God, please open my heart. Please help me to feel love. Please help me feel this connection and this love for you. If you don't feel it, ask for it. Ask for it daily until you start to feel it, and then ask for it more, and give your love. It's really important, give your love. So if you don't feel it right away, the intention is very powerful, and the words that you use are very powerful. So we've covered prayer, how to pray, how to begin reconceptualizing, defining your personal relationship. My suggestion is to do the prayer followed by the meditation. Meditation can be very, very simple. Something that I've been reading lately that I feel like is a very good place to start. Set you a timer for 5 minutes after you do your prayer. And remember, in your prayer, you can ask for guidance. You can ask for spiritual experience. You can ask for evidence. That's one thing that I did a lot in towards the beginning of my journey. Ask for evidence of God's presence in your life. Ask to be shown clear signs, tangible signs. You will start to get those. All you have to do is ask. It really is that simple. It's just that so many of us don't do that, or so many of us have this tainted idea of who God is. So we don't have the personal relationship, so we're never going to get it. God is just sitting there waiting for us to open up, waiting for us to come to that energy to allow it in. So this is the first step to do so. Okay, so back to meditation. Set a timer for 5 minutes after you pray. Breathe in, inhale deeply, hold. You're inhaling through your nose, deeply hold, Exhale through your nose deeply. And again, inhale deeply through your nose, hold at the top. Exhale all the way out your nose. And as you do so, relax your jaw, relax your teeth, relax your tongue. Somebody said yesterday, how do you relax your teeth? So you can't really relax your teeth. So it's more just the idea of relax everything in your mouth, relax the jaw, relax the tongue, relax your lips. Try to relax your whole body as you do this as well. Sometimes it's helpful to mentally scan your body from head to toe. See if there's any area that you're holding tension and see if you can just really, okay, I'm going to let that go. Whatever that is, let me just let that go. Let me relax that. You can even breathe into it, breathe some air into that. Okay, so I went off a little bit on the side tangent. So back to the 5 minutes of breathing. So you inhale, hold at the top, exhale. Listen to your breath the entire time. See if you can listen to the breath, watch the breath as you're doing this. I want to give you an alternative. So as we're doing this, you can do it just like what I just said. You're inhaling, hold at the top, exhale all the way. All of this is through your nose, in through the nose, out through the nose. Listening to the breath, relaxing everything, your whole body, but also your jaw, your tongue. Another alternative is breathing up and down the spine. Very powerful. I would suggest trying that first, seeing if that can work for you. And if it can't, then just do this regular breathing that I was just describing. So if you're going to do spinal breathing, imagine the spine is surrounded by, basically it's this tube, okay? So this inside of my hand, see, there's going to be the spine is in there. So you got this tube around your spine, which you literally do. That's like the energy, the Shishimna channel. Okay. So within the spine and my lineage, my belief system and what I've experienced and observed, the chakras are actually located in the spine. So this is actually going to send prana, healing energy, up and down, and it's going to feed and it's going to clear and open the chakras. And it will also help with any emotions that might be stuck. It's going to help to do some clearing for you. So I highly suggest this if you can. And if it's like too hard or it's just not working for you, then just go to the inhale and exhale without trying to do it up and down the spine. So what you're going to do is you're going to inhale up the spine to the top of the head to the crown, and then exhale down the spine to the tailbone, the base of the spine, and then up and down, still in through the nose, out through the nose, same exact process, but you're just doing it up and down the spine. Okay, so as you do that consistently on a daily basis, again, set the timer just 5 minutes. You don't need to do any more than that at first. As you do this consistently, you're going to start to have results. You might start to have sensation in your spine right away or over time. So it's that simple. That's a really good start for meditation. You can certainly add guided meditations. Some people are initiated into some sort of practice, transcendental meditation. Somebody yesterday was initiated into that. I'm initiated into something called Kriya Yoga. You can look that up if you want, kriya.org. Very powerful for me. And so you can certainly do both. You can do this breathing. Maybe you have a limited amount of time. So many of us do. There's so much busyness. You have a limited amount of time in the morning. So just do this prayer out loud, say everything, release everything, talk to God, do your 5 minutes of breathing. It's also very calming and very relaxing. Beautiful way to start the day. And then you can do your practice, your other practice another time. Or maybe you like guided meditations, and that's great too. And you can do the guided meditations another time. But I would definitely suggest doing this, starting with this as a silent meditation, as a listening. So this is where you can get your guidance. And this is where you can have your experiences. You're leaving a space open for guidance, to receive, to listen to God, to connect with God. And you have to have the time or it's not going to happen. And we're always rushing, in this world now, we're always rushing. We're busy. We're doing one thing after another. We have to hold a space for this. This is our foundation. This is something that will change our lives and the lives of those around us, really. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about today is moving back into what was mentioned before about love in your heart. So many of us have had heartbreak. Everybody, really, right? to various different degrees. We've had heartbreak, we've had pain. Maybe it was in a relationship that just broke our heart so intensely. Maybe it was through, some sort of challenge in life, physical health issues, fear, the loss of somebody, the loss of a loved one. I want to talk a little bit about that because what happens when we experience this type of heartbreak, our heart closes, right? It shuts off, it closes. This is just a natural response for that. It happens almost, I'd say like 99% of the time. It's automatic. But if you're aware of it, it doesn't have to. So this is like an automatic response to emotional pain. So if you've ever lost a loved one, you might notice that you just kind of can't feel anything. You're numb. Well, that's because your heart closed off as a defense mechanism. So it happens at a subconscious level. It just shuts off. It gets blocked up. It gets closed down. It's kind of like, oh, we can't take any more. This is all we're doing. And that's okay. But what I want to tell you is it's really important to keep that open. If you can, just try. We talked yesterday, and I want to reiterate it today in the group. We spend so much time and energy running from our emotional pain, distracting ourselves from it, trying to deny it in some way, and that can look a lot of different ways. That can look like addiction. That can look like distracting with social media, even. That can look like over-exercise, chasing goals and chasing materialistic things. There's so many different ways, overeating, any kind of addiction. There's so many different ways that we attempt to run from the pain that's sitting there. And it's so important to just sit with it. Have a willingness. Again, we talked earlier about that warrior spirit that we all have. This is where we need it on the spiritual path. You have to have some of that warrior energy on the spiritual path. It has to be there. You have to remain alert and aware of the things that are blocking you, the obstacles in your path. The biggest obstacle we're talking about today, the foundational obstacle, right, is reconceptualizing, defining your relationship with God. You've got to start there. But with this warrior energy, you have to use that to make the choice. Just sit with that pain, and you can do it. You can do it. What you find when you finally stop the distraction, meditation is very helpful for this. It lets things come up. If you have a desire to open your heart, allow yourself, just be willing to sit with whatever is there that needs to be processed out, that you need to feel. It is so much easier, and it takes so much less energy than running from it, than distracting from it. And that's really the paradox here, is like, we think that we're saving ourselves or protecting ourselves in some way, but actually it's taking so much longer. It's creating all these blocks and barriers for what we're really desiring. The whole reason we're running from it is because we want to be happy. We want to feel peaceful. We want to feel good, and that's okay. We deserve that. We're supposed to enjoy life. That's one of the points of life, enjoying it, learning, growing, evolving. But you have to sit with whatever's there. You have to let it come up. If you sit with it and you let it come up, it transmutes. I promise you, it will transmute. You might have to sit with it for a little bit, but so much less time than the distracting and the running from it. Sit with it, let it transmute. Open your heart to it. Just let it in. It's okay. You can do it. It will transmute, it will clear, and then you will be so much lighter. You'll be able to connect at a higher level. You'll be able to have new experiences. And so one of the people in our group yesterday talked about, if I let love in, she said, then I have to let the pain in too. Yeah, that's true. There might be, for some people, some pain that needs to process out as you open your heart for love, to love God, to begin to open that back up. Not everybody, but some people will have some pain that will be touching into that too, but it will be very, very short-lived. And you can pray about that, asking it to be lifted, asking it to be shifted. So the open heart, the letting the love in, very important. Okay, so back to the suffering, the emotional pain, the heartbreak. One of the things talked about so often that the masters know that everyone on this path that has been on this path for a length of time, that had certain experiences, understand that when your heart is broken, when you have parts of you cracked open, that's where the light comes in. So allow that to take place. Allow yourself to open. Allow that light to pour in. The other thing that it does is it builds compassion. The heartbreak, the emotional pain, it builds and creates wisdom and compassion. As you know the depths of despair, compassion in you starts to build and grow, and you can then offer that to others, and that's a beautiful thing. It's really the only way that that type of wisdom and that type of compassion is birthed, is through this deep pain and this crack, and then the light pours in, and you're changed forever, and you're open. And one more thing on suffering that also can touch into and become a block barrier, right? Or has in the past. Maybe that's part of this need to reconceptualize the meaning of God, your connection with God. Maybe sometime around sometime at some point you went through something that was terribly painful and you blamed God for it. Understandable. I understand that 100%. If there was a God, why would this happen? And all kinds of different things you could ask. We don't know all the details. There's a lot of different ideas out there, and I'll let you decide, what does that mean to you? Some people believe that it's karmic, that we're going through something to balance a karmic cycle. Some people believe that our soul has decided before we incarnate into this world some experiences that we're meant to have to grow and learn and evolve, to deepen our wisdom. And a lot of those are challenging. Some people believe it's to create a depth of wisdom and compassion so that we can then offer that to others. I can tell you from personal experience, all of the pain, all of the traumas, all the suffering that I have been through, I have 100% gained wisdom and knowledge and compassion that has been offered to others. So I'm able to look back and see that had those things not happened, had I not gone through those experiences, there's no way I could have understood and supported these people that I have supported had I not gone through that. So very, very purposeful. You decide what that's about. See if you can open back up your relationship and clear that away. So decide on, what does that mean to you? What are these experiences about? Are there other alternative explanations besides that God is punishing you in some way? Because I guarantee you that is not what's happening. So you decide, what else, what other stories could you add to that? What else could it be? Just the desire, just the choice. Remember that only I can change me. Only you can change you. We have intentions, we have choices, we can create, we can redefine things. Just the choice, the intention to open your heart, to start to let love in, to start to love God, develop this relationship, just that will bring it forward. Thank you so much for tuning in. So much love, infinite love, deep blessings to each of you. And I will so look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye for now.